Hi, Brendan. Thanks for coming to talk to us today about the yoga sessions that you instruct as part of the Get Active programme at the University of Bedfordshire. We've just got a few questions that we want to ask you to allow the existing members of staff and students and the new ones into a bit of an insight of what you offer. So you instruct 4 sessions a week. Is this right?
Yep, so there's the Monday evening, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, and Friday afternoon. Yeah, so there's some evening classes, a couple of evening classes for people if that suits them better, a couple of around lunchtime classes. Yeah, do you want me to give you the timings or is that?
No, that's fine. That can all be found on the website. But yeah, that's great. So basically, that's just there should be one session that's suitable for someone then around their commitments. Then that's quite handy.
Yeah, so I mean, I can run. It's a quick off the top of my head. It's Mondays 5:30 to 6:30, Tuesdays 12:45 to 1:30, Wednesdays 5:30 to 6:30, and then Fridays is 12 to 12:45. So there you go.
Oh, brilliant! There you go. So a little obvious. Start with an obvious question. Why so many every week at the University of Bedfordshire? You
Well,
probably do the most out of all the instructors, I think. Um,
yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, because you asked me, and I'm happy to do that. But it's something that that people have enjoyed as far as kind of I can tell. I hope that people have enjoyed it and wanted to have more regular classes across the week. It's something that you can do every day. I try to change it so it's not exactly the same one day to the next. And so one day, you could be working on something on a Monday, which is more relaxed and floor based. And then on a Tuesday, we could do something but get more up and active. And, and so there's so many elements. Maybe that's the thing. There's so many elements to yoga, so many different ways of practicing the practice that, hopefully you could do it every day without, kind of having to repeat yourself and you find something different and new and fresh every time. So yeah, and because I have lovely people who want to do the classes with me more than once a week, I'm very grateful for that. So that's why.
oh, brilliant. So how long have you been delivering the program at the Get Active program?
That's a good question, and I think it's you know, in one way it seems like it's only yesterday, and in another way I think it's like 3 years.
Oh, wow. I didn't realise it was as long as that.
Yeah, I think it might be about 3 years, but I might be wrong on that. But I remember someone saying to me, recently, I've been doing this with you for like 2 years now, and I was like, has it been that long? So it's been at least 2 years. It might be three. But yeah, started off doing that. We were in the Salvation Army building, initially just across from the university. We actually started off in the university. We would move to the Salvation Army building, but when all of the lockdown stuff happened, we've moved to online, and this is thankfully somewhere where actually the same kind of, it's like getting the band back together. The people have come back in the same groups, and yeah, so I think a big part of this actually is a social aspect to it as well. So what I try to do with my class is I try to check in at least 15 minutes beforehand and stay for five minutes or so at the end. That allows people to check in, to have a chat, see what's going on across the day, and then have a chat at the end for any questions or comments or anything like that. So I think that it's quite important, having done this for quite a while now. I think the social aspect of what yoga is about is as important as anything else.
Oh, that sounds great. So what you did touch on it before that you're happy to do these classes for the lovely people that sort of attend, but
Mm.
what is it about the staff and students at the University of Bedfordshire that you do like so much?
Well, it's just it's the enthusiasm, the group, the energy that people bring, the kind of grit and determination that people show in the classes. as well as we have a good laugh as well, actually. And the joy for me doing this is bringing staff and students together was a big part of it, because I have people. Sometimes there's people in the classes whose lecturers are in the same class with them, and it breaks down the barriers a little bit, and it kind of maybe helps to create, I hope, a better relationship between the staff and the students. But not only that, different people from different faculties get to meet and go, oh, I spoke to you like 100 times on the emails, and it's so nice to meet you finally in person. So people's lives have kind of interconnected, and they haven't realized who the actual person was behind the email address. So this is what's really nice about this, actually, in this period of doing stuff online, is that people from the Luton and the Bedford campus now are coming together and going, and they would never maybe have met before, but being able to practice together, really, I feed off that too. That because they come in and they have their own little stories of what's happened in their day, and yeah, it's a great place to work. The university has been really great in keeping this program going across this period too. That's something that I'm very grateful for, and I know that so many of the staff and the students are very grateful for having this as well at a tough time.
Oh, exactly that. So let's go back to the very beginning of your yoga journey. Like, if a student was listening to this that's about to start their journey, when did you start yours, and how did it progress? How did you get into yoga?
Yeah, so I need to work back to figure out what age I was when I started, and then I can tell you how long I've been doing it for. So it's 16 years, maybe. Yeah, 16 years. So that's when I started doing it. I haven't been doing it kind of solidly. The first few years, I was just like dipping my toe, coming back out of it. But I started off doing yoga because I had lots of injuries, and specifically in my knees. I damaged the cartilage in my left knee when I was younger playing football. The doctors just said to stop playing football, and it was like, well, I can't just do that. So I kept on, trying to work myself back to strength, kept on doing stuff, and then kind of being all right for a while and breaking down. And that continued till I was like, 23. And I thought, there's something has to change, and I tried to find something that was non-impact that was going to work for me. And I was I'm a Manchester United supporter. That will please some people and annoy other people. But Ryan Giggs was my favorite player, and at the time I think he was 32 33 maybe, when he started talking about being old in football, and at the time that seemed like it was old to me, and I'm 39 now, and it's like that's not old at all. But when he said that one of the main reasons why he had longevity in his career up to that point, and was because of the yoga that had helped him through he had a lot of hamstring injuries, and because he was a fast player, a sprinter, and so I thought, well, if it's all right for Giggsy, it's all right for me. So I started doing that. I started trying the yoga, and yeah, kind of never looked back. Even though I didn't kind of do it solidly for the first maybe year or two, it always kind of drawn back to it, and eventually I just thought, you know what, this is what I love to do. The job that I was doing at the time was really stressing me out. The yoga was the thing that was keeping me on an even keel, and I thought, well, why not do the thing that you're loving? And so I decided to do that.
Oh, brilliant. And that's so true. If you find a job you love, it doesn't feel like work, does it? Which is so important to be happy.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong though. There are days whenever, like anybody else, it feels like a drag, and I have to be honest with people, because sometimes there's an expectation that yoga teachers walk about in a state of zen all the time. It doesn't happen like that. We are just trying to control our crazy like everybody else.
Oh, that's so true. Because yeah, I would probably be one of them stereotypical people that would think that, actually, that you would be like completely calm and all the time, but
Levitating.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. No. The yoga helps me with dealing with my stresses and anxieties, and it's I think actually it's quite important and to not present something that's unattainable to people. You see that sometimes on social media and things like that, when people present things that are not realistic, that are not attainable. It's not something that you can have constantly. You can't be happy and feel uplifted 100% of the time. That's probably when your yoga is the best, when you need it. And so I, like anybody else, have had my issues in my life, things that I've gone through, periods of grief, periods of unhappiness in my life, and I'm just really thankful that I have yoga, and it's one of those things that can be used for so many different things. You can find just space to breathe, just finding that kind of moment where just that seems really simple, seems really kind of simplistic, and it is. But how often have you felt like you've caught yourself not breathing in a situation? So that's important to me, to present a realistic kind of view, an understanding, or kind of help people towards an understanding that you're never going to have this state of zen that you walk around in all the time. Don't think that that's the thing, because if you do, you're just going to be setting yourself up for disappointment, and then you start to go into that cycle of, oh, I'm not that good, and so I'm not going to do it because I don't want to try. So you don't want to try, and you feel bad about not trying, so then you don't try, and that's just that vicious cycle. But actually, if you give yourself a bit of compassion, a bit of empathy, understand that we all have up days and down days, then you'll have more. You'll find a bit more joy in your yoga practice.
Oh, brilliant. I think you've actually just kind of covered my next question there. So it was more sort of based on why people should incorporate yoga into their life and what benefits it brings us. So you've kind of said the social side. You've also then said the mental side as well. What other benefits can it bring to us?
Emotional benefits, but they're tied in, aren't they? I don't think you can really separate completely the physical, the emotional, and the psychological. I'm studying a psychology degree part-time as well, and at the moment I'm doing a sports psychology module, and it just talks about, I'm only starting off in this module, so I'm not an expert in it, but it's just really nice to see what I'm reading, where it talks about how intertwined, the emotional, the physical, the mental aspects are of exercise, and it just that kind of resonates with me completely. Something simple, that can seem like airy fairy to say that, the mental and the physical and the emotional are tied in. But what, if I was to say to you, mime stress to me, you'd go something like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it really takes its toll on your body, doesn't it? Stress, yeah.
Everybody knows that, don't everybody knows this kind of sensation of being like that and hunched up shoulders and almost kind of in like a, it's closing yourself off, like you're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. You're closing yourself up to protect yourself, or to get you coiled up like a spring and ready to strike out.
Yeah.
So if that's the emotional and the psychological and the mental state translating to physical, then you can almost hack your brain by reversing those actions, and then the brain goes, because I've opened up. Okay, well, maybe it must be okay at this point now to switch modes to the what's called rest and digest mode. And then when you do that, then the internal processes start to work differently. You start to produce different chemicals and hormones within the body, and change on a cellular level, where you can get rid of stuff that's broken down and infected, and flush that stuff out. So there's that aspect to it as well. You can literally kind of let go without wanting to go into too much detail, through digestion, what you don't need, through physical movement, as well as, we're talking about the metaphorical, letting go of gripping to ideas in your mind, such as, maybe thought processes that are not helpful to you in terms of how you think about yourself, or in terms of how you think other people think about you. And then there's three things that I listened to a sports psychology podcast, Finding Mastery, and there's a good guy on there, Michael Gervais, I think his name is, and he did an interview with a world-class surfer. I don't know, there obviously must be, I didn't know there was surfing competitions internationally, but this guy was apparently top of his game. And he said, what do you do? How do you kind of look after your own mental health, when you have those down days? Because, it doesn't matter if you're a gold medal winning Olympian, or just somebody who wants to get a bit more movement in their life because they're sitting at a desk for too long. You're going to have up days, you're going to have down days. And he said, what's, to this top level athlete, how do you cope with your mental health when that's challenged? And he said, I asked myself, three questions. Is it useful? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And he said, if whatever I'm doing, if it's not at least one of those things, try and bin it, or at least, try not to focus as much energy on it. So is it useful? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And if it's not at least one of those three things, why do it?
Oh yeah, that sounds, I think if we could all benefit from kind of using that in our lives, definitely. So there's lots of different styles of yoga. Do you have a personal favorite?
Well, what I do, my company is Shanti Warrior Yoga. A little bit of promo. But basically my style of yoga is based on Sun Power Yoga. That's the school that I came through, which is itself based on some power yoga and Shivananda yoga, which itself, will be based on, the ancient Hatha yoga, which talks about effort. The word Hatha, you might have heard Hatha yoga as a term. Hatha essentially just means effort. So it's to put effort in. So if we're talking about a favorite kind of yoga, it's the best way to sum it up for me is that, trying to classify what you do or what kind of yoga you prefer is like trying to say what kind of music do you make, or to a musician, or what's your favorite kind of music to listen to. Depends on your mood, right? Some days you want to be out raving, and other days you want to be chilled and have some smooth jazz. So in terms of having a favorite kind of yoga, whatever's the right thing to do on the day is really my answer to that.
Yeah, that's so true. Again, you've got really good examples actually of your answers, because you can really visualize it, and I think that's important as well, to kind of just understand where you're coming from. So we have touched on this. In what ways have you had to adapt because of COVID? Not just at the University of Bedfordshire, but just in your other work as well.
Well, with the university, everything is moved to online, and so that's going to stay that way for the foreseeable. As I say, it was really lovely to have people who when it all went into lockdown. I mean, what was that now? 6 months ago. It's times it feels so elastic at the moment, doesn't it? It could have been 3 years ago. It could have been,
really odd, isn't it?
Yeah. But so what, 6 months ago or whatever it was when this all locked down, luckily, or maybe down to good planning, we had actually planned to go online the week before it all locked down, because I could see it coming. The management of Get Active, Tom, I talked to him and he could see it coming too, and we thought, well, let's just try and shift everything to online. So luckily, a week before that we started planning it, and then everything was locked down. I was sitting in my car about to go in to teach a class on a Friday evening, in the David Lloyd gym down in Hatfield, and just before I went in, I was listening to when Boris Johnson had his daily speeches, daily updates, and he said, so we're going to close the gyms down as soon as possible. Close them like as soon as you can. And I was like about to go and teach a class, and I was like, you know, that's my world. I mean, if everything closes down and I don't have an income, so I went into the class, and there was about 4 people who turned up. And I'll be honest, I was in tears at one point. It was like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I don't think that's a unique story. Anybody who works freelance or has had their income really impacted by this will understand the kind of fear of that uncertainty. So, but when that happened, I thought, you know what? I'm going to do all the classes on the same days at the same times as I was doing beforehand online. And I just said on the social medias, I just said, everybody, this is what I'm doing. If you used to come to a class at 7 o'clock in Luton on a Wednesday or Thursday, whenever it was I was doing it, I'm still going to be running the class online at that time. And so I kept on running the classes like that. And the numbers were kind of up and down. Not everybody understood how to work, Zoom. Not everybody understands or has the technology or the space to make it easy for them to do these things. I'm talking about space in terms of the rooms and people around them. Luckily, I have had some great people who have followed me. I worked the classes on a donation basis. And I just said, look, come along. If you can't pay, that's fine. If you can, suggest a donation of £4. Some people paid more, some people paid less. If you couldn't afford to, that's fine. And it really worked quite well. And I'm just grateful to everybody who has kept following me in that way. The university we kept the classes at the same time online, which has been brilliant. We've actually added the extra Friday class on because there was such high demand, which was brilliant. But yeah, so I've gone back to teaching now in gyms, but it's all kind of socially distanced, and we have markings on the floor, and one place I have to wear a visor, and that's interesting. But yeah, no, that's the story of how I've adapted, and we're kind of living, who knows when we broadcast this if it's going to be different. It could be that some things have locked down again, but the point is we've come through it. We've figured out a new way how to do stuff. Adaptability in your thinking is a big part of the yoga philosophy. I've talked about mindset and thought processes. Being adaptable in your thinking as well as in your body it is important to understand that there's more than one way to do things is really important. And that all goes for if you are, lacking space in your house, or if you do have people around you. So what, like if I mean, I don't mean to be flippant about it, but there's ways around it where you can say, right, I need this space for myself. I don't mind if you have kids and partners running around, kind of around your dogs and cats, as has been the case. It doesn't matter because you can just stick yourself on mute and you're not going to disturb anybody else. So I'm quite keen to say that, we can adapt, we can do things differently, we can overcome obstacles and barriers that are in your way. If you're thinking that you can't do this for whatever reason, talk to me, and I bet I can find a way that you can.
So as Brendan said, yoga is online at the moment and for the foreseeable future. Well, you've completely sold it to me. I can't wait to join in and reap the benefits from it. So it's free as part of the Get Active membership at the moment. You just need to book using the booking facility. If you have any more questions for Brendan, please send them in to getactive@beds.ac.uk and we'll get them answered. Brendan, thank you so much for talking to us. It was just some really interesting answers there. And definitely food for thought in a lot of what you said that people can take away with them. So we'll see you at yoga later on. Thanks, Brendan.
Pleasure. Thanks, Kirsty.
Yeah.